Hey Calculus, this is Mr. Aiden, and this is finding derivatives of tangent of x, cotangent of x, secant of x, cosecant of x, all those trig functions other than sine and cosine. So it's a little bit easier than you think. We know that the derivative, we've taught that the derivative of sine of x is equal to cosine of x. And we've taught that the derivative of cosine of x is equal to negative sine of x. These are two things that we want to kind of keep in our back pocket because we know these derivatives. So when we want to know the derivative, what's the derivative of something like tangent of x? Well, we're going to take the derivative of sine of x over cosine of x, which is tangent. So we're going to be using the quotient rule. So remember, how do we do the quotient rule? Is we do the bottom guy, cosine of x, times the derivative of the top guy, sine of x, minus sine of x times the derivative of the bottom guy, cosine of x, over the bottom, the denominator squared, cosine squared of x. So on the numerator, we have cosine of x. What's the derivative of sine of x? It's cosine of x. So you can see I have cosine squared right there. Then we have sine of x times the derivative of cosine of x. What's the derivative of cosine of x? It's negative sine of x. So that becomes positive. The two negatives cancel out. Sine of x times sine of x, or sine squared of x. So on the top, we have cosine squared of x plus sine squared of x. What does that equal? That equals 1, doesn't it? Cosine squared and sine squared over cosine squared of x, which means the derivative of tangent of x is equal to secant squared of x right there. Okay, so that is the derivative of tangent of x is equal to secant squared of x, something that you can derive yourself by doing the quotient rule, or you might just want to memorize it. Okay, it's one of those kind of things you might want to memorize. Same thing with what's the derivative of cotangent of x. Well, we're trying to take the derivative of cosine over sine, which means we have sine of x, the bottom. We have the derivative of cosine of x, which is negative sine of x, that's negative sine squared, minus the top guy, we have cosine of x times the derivative of sine of x, which is cosine squared of x, all over sine squared of x. What do we have? We have negative 1 over sine squared of x, or that derivative is equal to negative cosecant squared of x right there. We can also find the derivatives of secant of x. What is the derivative of secant of x? Well, the derivative of secant of x is the derivative of 1 over cosine of x. Again, we're going to do the quotient rule, so we have cosine of x times the derivative of 1, which is 0, minus 1 times the derivative of cosine of x, that's negative sine of x, all over cosine squared of x. So what do we have up on the numerator? We really have sine of x over cosine squared of x, which is really sine of x over cosine of x times 1 over cosine of x, if we kind of split up that denominator, which means we really just have tangent of x times secant of x. Okay, so what is your derivative of secant of x? Is secant tangent. Okay, secant tangent. And last but not least, we have the derivative of cosecant of x. That's the derivative of 1 over sine of x. Again, we're going to do the quotient rule here. So we have sine of x times 0. That's the derivative of the numerator, minus 1 times the derivative of sine, which is cosine of x, all over sine squared of x, which means we're left with negative cosine of x over sine squared of x, which means we have negative cosine over sine, that's negative cotangent of x, times 1 over sine, which is cosecant of x. And so these are 4 functions you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know that the derivative of tangent is secant squared, that the derivative of cotangent is negative cosecant squared, that the derivative of secant is secant tangent, the derivative of cosecant is cosecant, negative cosecant cotangent. Okay, so things that you might want to memorize in some respects. So here, we want to know the derivative of cosecant of x at pi over 6. And so we have the derivative of cosecant is going to be negative cosecant of x times cotangent of x. which means negative cosecant of pi over 6 times cotangent of pi over 6. So you're going to go to your, kind of mess that up right there, cosecant of x, there you go, of pi over 6. So you're going to take a look at your unit circle here, okay? And when you take a look at your unit circle, you're going to be looking at pi over 6. And when we take a look at our unit circle, our pi over 6 is really going to be like 30 degrees. So we have negative 1 over sine of pi over 6 times cotangent. Cotangent is going to be not sine over cosine, but cosine of pi over 6 over sine of pi over 6. Okay, so negative 1 over sine of pi over 6, that's going to be 1/2. That is equal to negative 2. And then we have cosine of pi over 6. Cosine is going to be root 3 over 2 over sine, which is going to be 1/2. The 2's on the denominators cancel out, so we have root 3, negative 2 root 3 right there for our answer. So we are going to be finding the derivatives of things like tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant of x, all those other trig functions. Hope this helped out. Memorize these 4. You're going to want to know them. Okay? Take it easy, guys. Bye.